Last chance for football? Wait, what? Who's thinking about buying football in June to lock in their NFL and college football picks? Well, with the super early bird football promotion at WagerTalk and Sports Memo, we have a few reasons why. Early bird pricing for the NFL and college football combo is $8.99. Using coupon code football100, you can take $100 off, dropping the price to $7.99. If you purchase by June 30th and use coupon code football100 to get your $100 discount, we will also toss in an additional bonus. On July 4th, we'll take the highest scoring MLB game of the day and give you $10 for every run scored. Last year, 2 games put up 15 runs, so that would mean $150 in free wager bucks to use how you choose. This super early bird $100 discount using Football 100 and Wager Bucks bonus expires on June 30th with no exceptions. So if you plan to bet football this year, this is the lowest price we will offer you, so act fast and lock in your favorite football handicappers in both NFL and college football through the National Championship and Super Bowl.
What's going on, guys? Welcome into Puck Time. You're watching WagerTalk TV, and we are here to break down Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Finals as the Tampa Bay Lightning grab a win in their first game back at home. The series is now 2-1. They're going to try and tie things up here tonight at home in the Stanley Cup Finals. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to breaking things down. Of course, last night, well, what better of a night to have the Stanley Cup or the NHL awards than just in the middle of the Stanley Cup Finals. I mean, that's usually what most people do, I think. We did have the award ceremony last night. We did see Austin Matthews win the Ted Lindsay Award. We also saw the Hart Trophy. And we'd be remiss if we didn't mention it for Johnny Detroit, our COO, the fact that we did see Moritz Seider win the Rookie of the Year. And as he lets us know in our Slack group here, first Detroit Red Wing to win that award since 1965. So interesting NHL award night last night. I thought it was kind of I don't know. It used to be a lot more fun of an award night. It was, you could tell they were kind of getting them in and out. The speeches were short. Cale Makar wins the Norris Trophy, of course. Igor Shesterkin wins the Vezina. Carmine, any thoughts from you on that? And of course, and then we'll get into tonight's game.
Yeah, it's nice seeing the Toronto Maple Leafs actually winning a trophy in June. It's something you don't normally see, Andrew, with this team. But all joking aside, yeah, listen, man, I was flipping back and forth between the Jays game and the hockey awards, and all I can think of, and I don't mean this as a joke, it's just those mustaches. I just cannot stand those mustaches. The Chicago White Sox pitcher Cease with that straight mustache. You have Austin Matthews with that straight mustache. It just drives me nuts. I'm fine with facial hair, man, but it just drives me nuts. The only guy that mustache works on, and Andrew, you're a young guy, you're probably not going to remember him, is Ron Jeremy. It's the only guy who can pull off that straight mustache. I'm sure you're so young, you don't even know who Ron Jeremy is unless you are Googling him right now as we speak. But with that, with that said, I'm looking forward to Game 4, man. I'm looking forward to more since Game 3 obviously ended. Everyone had given the Stanley Cup to the Colorado Avalanche after that 7-0 victory. And lo and behold, it gets back to Tampa 6-2. They just unnerved the Avalanche, Andrew, in that game, 6-2, and they weren't stellar goals by Tampa Bay. I was talking with our producer before the game because I had the under in that game, and I still believe the under was the right play. 5-on-5 or at even strength, 4-on-4 and 5-on-5. The final analytical numbers were 1.98 to 1.84. Unfortunately, the game is not based on analytical numbers and playing 5-on-5 or 4-on-4 because you got to factor in those power plays. And if you give the Colorado Avalanche a power play, they're going to make you pay for it. And Tampa as well. So at even strength, it was fine. But with those power plays, especially 5-on-3s, that under bet of mine was dead in the water. after a 5-goal second period. No goals in third period. And then Andrew, one more thing as I'm rambling on. Anytime you bet a total, you have to factor in the Darcy comfort angle as well too. What happens with Jared Bednar tonight, Andrew? Where does he go? Is it Francouz, or is Darcy back between the pipes?
That's a tough one. I think that you kind of have to ride out with the guy that's gotten you there. But then again, when Kemper was injured, Francouz played, average. He played as good as Kemper, I thought, if not better. So we'll see. I mean, you saw what happened last game when they don't score 4 or 5 goals for you, what happens. But you know what? When I look at that game, Carm, it's tough. For your wager there, if I would have told you, you know what, Carm, Colorado is going to score 2 goals tonight, I'm sure you would have felt pretty damn good about your under, wouldn't you? So it's tough because Tampa Bay put up some goals there.
Yeah, absolutely. You had that one goal that was called back, but obviously that was outside of the blue line. You could see the white there. But they still get on the board first, Colorado, and you're thinking, oh God, this is going to go south real fast. But if nothing else, give Tampa Bay credit. That is the 13th time during the playoffs that they've given up the first goal, and 7 of those 13 they've come back to win the game. So they're 7-6 when allowing the first goal, and they're 6-1 in the playoffs when scoring the first goal. So obviously, you'd rather score first. It's a better angle for them, and we'll see what happens tonight. But if you told me that they were going to shut down Colorado, and I thought there was a very good chance that was going to happen on home ice, not shut them completely down, but keep them to a couple goals, I would have thought at worst I'm walking away with a push in that game, because there's no way I thought that Tampa Bay would score 6 in a game, never mind on Colorado. And they did. And they weren't the best of goals either. You look at some of the goals and how they scored them, including the one that tied it up at 1. He literally, it came off of his stick as he tried to go around Darcy in front of the net, and instead it went through Darcy's pads and into the net. A lucky goal to tie it up, but an unlucky goal when you have the under. But I'm not crying over spilled milk. What's done is done. Let's just move on to Game 4.
Hey, well, we wanted more hockey to talk about. We definitely have it now. Look, let's bring up the odds. Let's bring up the odds here. And we'll take a look at things. Obviously, it's the best of the best going head-to-head here. And once again, we see a pick-em price between these two teams. We see a 6 again as the total. We look at Game 1, what happened in that one. Look at Game 2, a 7-0 victory. And then you look at Game 3, one team putting up 6 goals and Colorado managing 2 despite all the chances that they had. And the bookmakers say, no, we're not going to go to a 6.5. We're going to stay solid here right at the 6. First period totals, that's around 135-ish. I saw, Carm, at the 1.5 mark. If you don't want to play the 2, which most places are just 1.5, pretty shaded to the over there. That's 3-0 in this series so far, those third period overs. But, the puck lines in this one, obviously -1.5, plus 220. Plus 1.5. I don't think anybody's playing that for Tampa Bay at the -270. But if you want that puck line, there is a nice price there on the reverse puck line as well for them. And you mentioned it, Carm, the 5-on-5 expected goals versus the the expected goals in general, seeing 6.68 according to moneypuck.com, 4.33 for Tampa Bay. It's incredible because when you're handicapping a total, it's hard you have to handicap power plays, but you're not going to think that that's going to happen, what we saw last game. And the craziest part of last game to me was that we still saw the Lightning go 1 of 6, and they played, that impressive of a game. So to me, that makes it makes it interesting going into tonight's game as far as the special teams go, as far as the momentum for Tampa Bay goes. I'll say this, as much as I've gotten into with people online about how, the old expression, Carm, a series isn't over until you lose a game at home. It's obviously just an expression for TV and radio people and us doing shows, but it's also just talks about how important home ice is. But after that game that they played in game 3, all I heard was Tampa Bay at home, Tampa Bay at home. Did people not realize Colorado was, undefeated on the road going into that game? Tampa Bay did not win that game because they were playing in a different arena and a different building and they had a bunch of people cheering for them. They won that game because Anthony Cirelli scored a goal, because Patrick Maroon scored a goal, because Corey Perry scored a goal, because Nick Paul scored a goal. That's why they won that game. The team with the better depth showed up and they won that game. And also Vasilevsky up to his old tricks at home. And as you alluded to with Darcy Kemper, looking a little bit, sloppy between the pipes and an overall weaker defensive performance from the team. But I don't know. I mean, higher altitude, it's a different travel, obviously, Colorado to Tampa Bay. That's obviously a factor. But to me, I'm not going to just be, I don't think people are giving them enough credit, really, honestly. I think that it's just people saying, you know what, home ice advantage, good for Tampa Bay. It's not home ice. I think it plays a factor, but they played a solid game. My only thing that I look at with this game is, will we see Tampa Bay get that support from their depth once again here? Because they pretty much had a great secondary scoring game. Not to mention, I was able to cash with a Kucherov prop on his shots on goal. The guy has 6 or 7 shots on goal in that game. So it's interesting as far as the side and total goes tonight. And there's a lot of different narratives you can build off of last game because, hey, look, we saw one game go 7-0 and the next one is 6-2. So what are your thoughts here, Carmen? What are your thoughts on what I was just saying there about home ice? Because as much as I think it's important, I just think, Tampa Bay played well. It's not because they were at home. They played a better game. That's why they won the game.
I think it's a combination of both, Andrew. You look at game 2 and that game finishing 7-0. And it's like I said, you could play that game 100 times and you're not going to see another 7-0 game. Tampa they just didn't play well. They registered 16 shots on goal in game 2. Only 4 shots in the third period, where the game just got a little physical and we had a ton of double minors as they tried to send a message. I never get that sending a message thing. And then in game 3, you get Tampa scoring 6 goals. And again, this gets back to the quality of those goals. And that's why the expectancy numbers were sort of where they were 5-on-5. I just don't see a game 4 where we see the same type of goals being scored by Tampa. Do they possess the ability to shut down Colorado again? Sure they do. They could probably keep Colorado to 2 or 3 goals. Vasilevsky's playing very good. He made some great saves in that game. And it's one of the reasons why, as tough as it is to say, and people are like, how can you possibly like the under in this game? It's where I would lean, because Tampa doesn't get those 6 goals again tonight. If they do score 6, Andrew, they're going to be goals that are good goals. That that first one from Cirelli, you look at some of those goals, and those aren't goals that you normally see in a Stanley Cup final, and they got them. And when you put Colorado behind the 8 ball like that, it's just tough to come back. They haven't been in that position in the playoffs at all. And you look at their losses, and there are only 2 losses to the Blues. And neither one of them were blowout losses. So it's just one of those ones where you got to draw a line through it, the same way you drew a line through Tampa Bay in game 2 and say that they never really showed up. You've got to draw a line through game 3 as well too. Neither one of these teams are that good and that bad at the same time in a game. I think we see one play closer to the vest. I think it's a big game. It's a big game for Tampa. Well, it's a big game for both, but Tampa does not want to go down 3-1 in this series. They don't want to go back to Colorado, because then we talk about, Andrew, that the gentleman's sweep, as we said, where it ends in 5. But let me throw a couple of things at you, Andrew. And if you guys out there who are watching this, if you like Colorado, and they're minus 110 right now in this game, it's a split line. Colorado to win tonight and win the series, you can get it at plus 105. So instead of letting juice, if you think they're going to win tonight, they'll go up 3-1 in the series. It's very unlikely they're going to lose the series, but you're not getting that much value on going from minus 110 to plus 105 for them to win 2 games. But if you think Colorado is going to win tonight and then close it out on home ice, you can get Colorado to win the series 4-1 at plus 220. And that is a far more attractive price, I would think. Probably could be a little bit higher because you have to look at what the, like, let's say an open 2-game parlay is at minus 110. And then at home, they're likely going to be, if they're up 3-1, I'm going to guess 160, possibly 160, maybe 170, something similar to what we saw in the odds in game 2. So if you factor those 2 in, I don't think you get plus 220. I could be wrong, but if you like Colorado tonight, Colorado to win the series 4-1 might be the way to go as well too.
Yeah, it's always interesting looking at those numbers because you're right. If you like them to win tonight, they put themselves up 3-1 in a great position to win the series. And then you ask yourself, will they win it back at home in their first game? Also, Carm, we saw overtime in that game 1, but it was also a blown lead from Colorado. And then the next 2 games were marginal victories. If you're betting this game, aren't you interested in the puck line? I mean, if you want it for Colorado tonight, it's plus 220. Based on what we've seen in the last 2 games, neither team has won a close one. They've all been lopsided, and one team gets momentum. The body language and just the momentum of the game is just, it's crazy. It's crazy how one team can go from winning 7-0 to looking shell-shocked out there, down 6-2. I got to ask you about your underplay there. And you're not crazy because you know what? That last game, like I said, they had all their depth players score. Some of them were not really the best of goals, and goaltending might not have been there for Colorado. I had to ask you though, Carm, because I think that if I was playing the under, even though the over has cashed consistently in the first period, that might be one I look. Do you think that would be a play that you'd consider as well, or you want to ride out through the full 60?
I'd probably ride it out for the full 60. I still think when you look at the final numbers, it sort of reaffirms what your original thoughts were. And I thought, a game being played at 5-on-5, especially after a chippy game in game 2, where I just didn't think we would see the penalties, but we saw the penalties, and unfortunately, we saw power play goals that win with it. When we talked about, Andrew, when we did our Stanley Cup preview show, we talked about like keys to the game, and I talked about playing 5-on-5 and how the numbers, I thought the numbers favored Tampa Bay playing 5-on-5, and you just can't give Colorado's power play is clicking, I think, at 31.1% in the playoffs, where during the regular season they're at 24. The team has been dangerous, and they played game 3 similar to the way they played game 2. They pressed in the offensive zone. They tried to stop Tampa from breaking out, create turnovers, keep the puck in the O zone. The problem was when as Tampa scored and as Tampa got it out of and got some odd man rushes, and you fall behind because you're allowing goals. That pressing the play in the offensive zone just did not work for them. Is it an anomaly? It likely is, because this is how Colorado's won all playoff season. They have just put pressure on. They've used their speed, and they've just been tough. You watch that game, and even when Tampa Bay had the lead, where it was like, I think it was like 3-1, and then it became 3. I think it was like it became 3-2. You just watched Colorado and how quickly they were skating, and how they got the puck so easily into Tampa's zone, and you just thought that Colorado was going to come back and win that game. There is, until they went to like 4-2 and 5-2, there was no point in that game where if I was a Tampa Bay backer, I felt confident that they were going to win that game, because Colorado is just such a very good team, and we'll see what happens tonight. Again, Andrew, I'm going to circle back to the exact same thing, the keys to the series, and we talked about goaltending. Draw a line through Vasilevsky. They hung him out to dry. John Cooper kept him in net. He doesn't pull. He never pulls Vasilevsky. In the last 3 playoff seasons, I think he's never pulled Vasilevsky, even when they've had a bad game. And I like that. But what we see in this game, Bednar pulls Darcy in that game. He goes with Francouz. Francouz played pretty good in the third period, and then it begs the question: what are you going to do in game 4? I just don't know. I don't know, Andrew, if you're seeing a starting goalie named. I would think they're just going to wait. They're not going to name one right off the bat. I don't know. Do you go back? If you go back to, I guess there's a fail-safe in the sense of, Andrew, if you put him back in goal after you pulled him, you give him a chance again, and if you lose, you're still going home, tied at 2. You're on home ice, and you can go to Francouz as your starter in front of his in front of your own home crowd. So. I'd love to know what your thoughts are. Like, what would you do? We're not coaches. We can only speculate, but what would you do in this spot? I think he's going to go back to Darcy. I think because he's got that. It's not a do or die game for them. He's got the luxury of, at worst, they're tied at 2 and they're home for game 5.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, I'm kind of someone that you got to go with your guy. And I think that you mentioned about John Cooper, how he leaves out Vasilevsky. That's his thing. Jared Bednar doesn't do that. He saw the Avalanche, no pun intended, coming down, and he said, we're getting this guy out of here. So when I look at that might be just his style. And, they're still leading the series 2-1. It's not like they're down 2-1 in the series to me. So, and maybe there's a short leash tonight. Maybe he lets in 2 goals in the first period and they're down 2-1 again. And all of a sudden, Francouz there's a guy skating out in the second intermission. Because that wouldn't shock me, Carm. Because if that happens, then from the not only second period, third period of tonight's game, for the rest of the series, the net belongs to Pavel Francouz. So that to me it's kind of like, obviously, you don't want to say it's your net until you lose it, but it's a shorter leash tonight, but it's still your net. You earned it. And oh yeah, our team is still up 2-1. And honestly, I love the quotes that I saw from the Colorado Avalanche players after the game, not just about Kemper, but just in general. I feel like the leadership has been very strong in the locker room, starting with Landeskog, where they pretty much just said, like, hey, we didn't expect this to be a sweep. We knew we were going to, this is going to be a tough series. And they said about Kemper, look, we didn't make life easy on him either. Might not have been his best, but it wasn't our best game either. And I kind of like that type of stuff and those quotes from players there. So, it's the goaltending situation, especially here in Tampa Bay. If I was to credit anything to home ice advantage, it's how Vasilevsky plays at home. And I actually heard our producer Joe Ranieri saying this on the radio 2 nights ago, talking about how Vasilevsky just seems to get stronger and stronger as series progresses. I mean, he hasn't been great in game 1s against New York, against the Leafs, even against Florida. He had a couple of shaky moments, and then of course the game 1 against Colorado. Then he gets better as the series moves on, and here he is in game 4 again. We're not talking about him though. We're talking about the situation for goaltending as far as the Colorado Avalanche are concerned. I just think that they looked frustrated. I think that Cale Makar was trying to do a little bit too much at the end of the game. I saw that Colorado was like, why is what we usually do not working for us? And I think that, albeit we saw Tampa Bay score 6, they did exactly what they wanted to do, with frustrating the hell out of Colorado, clogging up that defensive zone and saying, you want to come in here, come on in and try and break through, because it was pretty much an invitation, Carm, to shoot from the outside. If I bring up these numbers, take a look at things really quick. We saw 39 shots on goal from Colorado. And based on those expected goal numbers that I talked about and you talked about, clearly some of them were dangerous, of course. But they also saw Tampa Bay block 27 of their shots. And those 39 shots on goal, I'll guarantee you plenty of those were from the outside, from the point, from not very strong angles, where Vasilevsky could see them all. So to me, when I look at the blocked shots stats here from game 3, and I see Colorado blocked 12 shots in that game and the Lightning blocked 27, to me, that's an issue. If I'm Colorado, they were not able to find a lane there. And oh yeah, let's not forget, Tampa Bay had 16 shots in game 2 They had 12 at the end of the first period in game 3. So lots of change there in that one.
Yeah.
Look, I want you to cash your tickets, Carm. I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't like when we're on opposite sides, but it's the Stanley Cup Finals here. Between these two clubs, I think it would take minimal penalties and great defense for this scoring to kind of slow down. But what we've seen so far, I mean, I feel like this series, I hate to use the "do" word, but it's kind of due for a low scoring game.
It's due. No, I get it. It's the do factor, the zigzag factor. I always love those phrases. Those are things you talk about in the bar and stuff like that, Andrew. When you come to Vegas, I've got a couple bar ones that I'm going to throw at you to see if you can get through them. But getting back to, we talk about elite goalies, and let's face it, like Joe said, of Vasilevsky getting better, he's an elite goalie. He has been in the playoffs. He's now, the Tampa Bay and him are now 20-2, coming off a loss after that 6-2 win. You look at some of the saves and he that he made off the rebounds, like to be able to stretch like he did and get those pads across the other side of the net on a couple of them that looked like they were that they were goals. It's just he played out of his mind. And you talk about and it's funny because you use the phrase, or I use the phrase, elite goalie, and then you think he allowed 7 in game 2, but they didn't pull him. It was the team hung him out to dry. And any of the elite goalies are going to be in that same position when the team in front of you doesn't show up. And it's, what I mean? And this is the thing about playing this game 5-on-5. I know it, Andrew, I would love the game to just be played 5-on-5, but the reality is it just never is. And it's kind of like someone in our live chat, Benny, I think it was, mentioned, every time the Colorado power play is out there, they look like they're going to score. It is the same thing last year. That Joe and I, our producer, Joe Ranieri, we cashed on Tampa Bay power play props, goal scoring props that were always plus money to get a point on the power play. Because last year, Tampa Bay was the similar type team. If you gave them power play, they looked like they were going to burn you each and every time and make you pay. And we just kept collecting those plus 150s and plus 160s on guys like Point and guys like Stamkos and Kucherov and Hedman. And this is where it is right now. You might as well look at, if you know that they're going to be, if you feel like there's going to be penalties tonight, and there has been throughout this whole series, you might as well look at some of those Colorado points on the power play props, because you're going to get plus money on them. You're always going to get plus money. And who's going to be out there? It's going to be McInnis. It's going to be Makar. It's going to be Landeskog. Those are the guys who are going to be out there. And if they pick up a point, you're cashing a plus money ticket with them. They're such a dangerous team. We haven't talked about who you have, what I have as far as our plays. We'll probably discuss them after the show. I'm not gonna lie to you right now. I want this series to go 6 or 7 games, and there's one reason for it. Because on Sunday I leave for Vegas, Andrew. I'm going to be in Vegas for 4 days. And there would be nothing better to be at Circa, watching Game 6, watching Game 7. If you're in Vegas and it's a Game 6, find me at Circa. I will buy you guys beers, drinks, whatever, and we'll enjoy the playoffs together.
I hope you get that wish, Carm, because I want to see more hockey. I am a hockey fan. It's like yesterday for me. I just had a small bet on the over in that Blue Jays and White Sox game. And after that cash, I turned into a fan, and the game goes into like 13 innings. I thought it was going to be going all night long. It's nice to be a fan of the sport as well, just like you are with hockey. But of course, we want to make some money too. We want to bet on these games. We want more games to bet on. And you talked about the power play points. Just a quick little, segment on this real quick, just to keep it going on that. Cale Makar, he's plus 140. Corey Perry plus 220. That cash yesterday, he is up and moved up continuously here in the lineup for Tampa Bay. He scored a goal last game. Landeskog plus 165, plus 110 for Rantanen, plus 130 for McKinnon, plus 105 for Kucherov, and plus 130 for Stamkos. So Those power play props are worth it, like Carm mentioned. And again, just to reiterate, we saw 6 power play opportunities for Tampa Bay and 4 power play opportunities for Colorado. So the specialty teams are going out there. It is happening, and you are getting a great price. And just for some reference, taking a look at the actual point props here for some of these guys, it's a little bit different. Cale Makar, well, he's minus 225 to get a regular point, and you're getting plus money on that power play point. So just worth mentioning there. Couple guys, I hit a few actually last game with these goal props. Want to mention a few here on the show for today on Puck Time. Nathan McInnis, plus 125, has not scored a goal yet in this series. I haven't pulled trigger yet in this series officially, and I am going to tonight at plus 125. Nathan McInnis to score a goal here in this one. Valerie Nichushkin, Carm, how can we go away from this guy here? I mean, plus 175, he's still making noise. He's still, finding a way to get it done. His goal was actually the one that got called off due to the offside. But to me, in his brain, he scored a goal, and he's playing very well. He's a big guy, and he plays well in this series, I think, at plus 175. I think that's a really good price for him to get it done. And again, going back to a guy in Anthony Cirelli at plus 330, bargain bin material, you might think, but I feel like it's a good one to bet here. Those guys, the depth, the down the lineup players like Nick Paul at plus 330, those are the guys to me that are going to lead the Tampa Bay Lightning to success. We saw Kucherov and Stamkos with several shots on goal. We saw a goal from Stamkos, of course, but I think you taking a look down the lineup, look at a couple of those guys, and you can make some money. And one I really like, this isn't my best bet on the show, but one I have to mention here for shots on goal, Cale Makar over 3.5 shots on goal. Take a look at that. Don't bet the 2.5 at minus like 200 or something. Bet that 3.5. The guy must have had like 8 shots blocked last game, Carm. I feel like he'll cash his shots on goal prop. Are there any shots or props that really stick out to you for tonight?
Andrew, I'm going to reference an old movie. If any of you guys watching this chat are degens and you love these horse racing movies, there's a movie called Let It Ride with Richard Dreyfuss. And
I've heard of that.
They literally are cab drivers, and they listen to a tape of a race that is fixed at the track. And literally Trotter, which is Richard Dreyfuss, bets the horse, and Looney, the other cab driver, doesn't. And he's like, you had it, you idiot, you had it. And I'm not calling you an idiot, Andrew, not by any means, but you had it. Oh, no. Corey Perry, you told us. Corey Perry, you told me. Corey Perry scores in game 3. And speaking of which, Corey Perry has scored a goal for 4 different teams in the Stanley Cup Finals. This guy has won pretty much every trophy that you could win, other than the Calder, I believe. I don't think he won the Calder, but the guy has a ton of trophies. This guy deserves to be, at some point when he retires, Andrew, in the Hall of Fame. I'm going off on a tangent there, but Corey Perry, he's plus 310 to score a goal tonight, Andrew. Corey Perry.
I know.
So I'm not sure if you like that. So plus 310. But you made the call, right? So you made the call. I got to give you cred for it, because you didn't mention it, and a lot of times you don't mention the winners that you give out. So at the very least, you're so good at doing it when the shoe's on my foot. I've got to do it right back at you.
I appreciate that. And hey, I don't mind some chirps like that, Carm, because I saw the plus 165 price after the show on him to get a point. And I was like, man, that's still a pretty good price for him, even if he gets an assist. And of course, he goes out and scores a goal. And I'm texting you about it, and you're like, come on, man, you mentioned on our show about that. So that is tough, and that one kind of stings a little bit. But hey, you can't be greedy. I still cashed a plus 160 wager, and that's kind of how I have to think about it. But it should be a great night of props. I will have some props I'm tweeting out. I will have some props for clients tonight. Full client card will be going out a little bit later on. And I got to ask you, Carm, I'm not trying to throw a random question out at you. If you don't have an answer for it, it's all good. But I lost with the Vasilevsky saves under prop pretty big time, actually, last game. And our pal Andy Lang, he had the under on Darcy Kemper. So I texted Andy during the game and said, man, what better of a time to have an under on a save prop for a goalie when he gets pulled from the game? I mean, I was like, congrats to you, Andy. Like, that's an early winner for you. Obviously, we don't really know who the starter is yet for Colorado, but would you look the similar direction, or would you look at either save prop for tonight?
Yeah, I think I would. I don't think we're going to see a ton of shots again, Andrew, unless, of course, and I sound like a broken record of please no power plays. Let's play this game 5-on-5. Unless, my narrative will change. If this show is over and I start looking at those power play props, point props, and some plus money, then I'm going to want to see some power plays. I'm going to want to see some goals. But that said, I liked your play on the saves under the number, and it's the same thing. Is if the narrative is, and for me is that Tampa is going to go out there, and I'm leaning to the under because I think that they can again keep this Colorado team to a couple goals in this game, at the very least 5-on-5, and this is one of those 3-2 type games. I hope. It's where I would lean. So I would lean at the under saves as well too. But if you give Colorado a lot of ozone time, they're just going to get shots at the goal, and it's just going to blow up that number. But I do love the under saves again. Not love, but I do like the under saves number for Vasilevsky again.
And it could quite possibly hit for both goaltenders. We could see it go under for both, and shots to the outside. It's tough for me, when I have an under for a goalie save prop when the other team is down 6-2. Because what's the message on the bench right now? Fire everything you possibly can at the net. And it's not really what I want when I have an under on the that goaltender save prop. But yeah, some great props to look at. I always love talking props, and next year we'll try and implement more props during our regular season betting, but with just obviously one game to break down on puck time, it's a lot more fun to just jump in and be able to have some more time to talk things. And I know we're going to hear it from our producers here 37 minutes into the show talking about one game. Let's get to John Ryan's angle of the day here. He's got some great information. He's always given us some good stats and trends and info here. So take a look at this one. And he's looking towards the under here in this one. So take a look at John Ryan. He has a big play up tonight in the NHL as well. And if you haven't followed him, his numbers, his database, it makes you some money. So check out John Ryan over at sportsmemo.com. Carm, over to you, man. What's going on for you this week at WagerTalk? I saw you put up an NFL win totals report, a 5% in there as well. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so that is up. There is the NFL package that is up there. The 4 win totals up. One of them is a 5%. Really like it, so I'm looking forward to getting to Vegas. I tweeted out to Circa if they've got the not only the World Cup stuff up, but some of these other prices. I want to see what they have and give them some of my action. Send some money down to them. But that is up. WagerTalk does have that NFL early bird. I think it's still active out there. If it's not active, send me a DM and I will get you a code to get you that, to extend that offer that they had on the NFL early bird. I'm looking for a big NFL season this year. As far as tonight goes, Andrew, a couple things. A 3-pack in MLB. It's been a profitable run in MLB. I want to keep it going, of course. NHL play up tonight with 4 props. I may add a couple more props to those as well, too. So you can get the 1-day all access, or a better deal is I've got a code for you guys. It is CARM30, and you get $30 off the 7-day all access package, which is normally $99. You can get it for $69. So basically under $10 a day for the next 7 days. And there's going to be a ton of baseball, obviously NHL, MLS, soccer on the weekends, and then anything else that comes across. Because obviously I have a futures bet up for Wimbledon. Wimbledon starts next week on Monday. And I've got a really nice priced futures bet out there that you might want to take advantage of. So these futures seem to hit for me. Let's see if we can do it again. My best bet, Andrew, I'm going back to what I did on Monday. I am taking the Nathan McKinnon over 4.5 shots. I'll lay the 140 juice. I have no problem with it. It has now hit 12 of 18 times in the playoffs this season. He's registered 96 shots in the playoffs, and he's registered over 4.5, 12 times of the 18 games that Colorado's played. So the big man's coming out tonight. Over 4.5 shots on goal. That's your show best bet.
Hey, he might be scoreless in this series, but he is firing shots on goal every single game. Carm says, hey, let's keep on riding that play at 4.5. I like that as well. I think he scores tonight, though, and gets the job done. Finally finds the score sheet, hopefully. But check out all of Carmine's stuff over at WagerTalk.com, including that win totals report. Numbers do move. You might not be thinking about the NFL right now, but these numbers do move. And Wimbledon, I can't wait for that as well. For me, guys, one thing I want to promote, of course, I have a 5% NHL play going tonight. It has been a great NHL season, a great NHL playoffs. I'm up 150 units on the season. That's plus playoffs as well. All sports 2022, I'm up 180 units here. Looking forward to hopefully building on that. I really want to get to that plus 200 mark. And CFL, I have a 5% CFL play up for Saturday. You can grab my full CFL card plus 5% pick in one package, or you can grab 30 days of CFL action for $99. The season goes until third week of November. Check me out for 4 weeks. Buy 30 days for $99. No coupon code necessary. Grab it at my profile page, WagerTalk.com. For my best bet on the show, I've talked about this guy quite a bit. I'm going to jump in with him again. Arturi Lehkonen to record a point tonight for the Colorado Avalanche, a guy playing on the second line with JT Compher and Mikko Rantanen. He gets lots of ice time. He's out there on the power play, and we are getting a great number on him to just get a point tonight in Game 4 Stanley Cup Finals. Arturi Lehkonen to record a point. All right, let's cash these. Let's cash these tickets here. Let's go 2-0 with the Puck Time best bets. Carmine Bianco with Nathan McKinnon over 4.5 shots on goal, minus 140. And I have Arturi Lehkonen from Colorado over on his point prop at plus 100. Enjoy the game, guys. Best of luck, and we'll see you next time.
Last chance for football? Wait, what? Who's thinking about buying football in June to lock in their NFL and college football picks? Well, with the super early bird football promotion at WagerTalk and Sports Memo, we have a few reasons why. Early bird pricing for the NFL and college football combo is $8.99. Using coupon code football100, you can take $100 off, dropping the price to $7.99. If you purchase by June 30th and use coupon code football100 to get your $100 discount, we will also toss in an additional bonus. On July 4th, we'll take the highest scoring MLB game of the day and give you $10 for every run scored. Last year, 2 games put up 15 runs, so that would mean $150 in free wager books to use how you choose. This super early bird $100 discount using Football 100 and WagerBucks bonus expires on June 30th with no exceptions. So if you plan to bet football this year, this is the lowest price we will offer you, so act fast and lock in your favorite football handicappers in both NFL and college football through the National Championship and Super Bowl.